Prosperity is one. This title was given to me yesterday for a title to be called as one. It means that we are looking through the lens of that, not as a separate unit of energy for each soul, but from a collective standpoint. So, when we have issues with other souls, we often say thank you for your wisdom. Others will say thanks but no thanks. Many of us are still residing in the idea that my life, my liberty, and my pursuit of happiness deems me special more than those others on the other side of the globe. When we fail, we all fail, correct? Others won't see it as that. But if we're trying to unite with the vision of we are all connecting in various ways and reaching a collective understanding of who we are, as each of us is part of that collective whole, then we would understand that our purpose is very much unique within each frame of each moment. I'm here to help those determine who they want to be for their own unique visions of what that means. It doesn't mean we dishonor each other in each moment, correct? We are living the units of energy, is what some would say. Brenda is more about the reality of what's happening on this plane, with each of us owning up to our own contributions of who we are, where we are, and how we are getting where we are getting. Others are saying, I want to make sure that my family tree sustains life on this plane. Others are going for it and saying, I'm here for the long haul. Brenda's a long haul for generational inputs. I know that the work that we have here to do is not easy. Prosperity for all doesn't mean wealth generation for none. But that's where the biggest picture is, correct? Where we're all aligning with this idea that money is to be had by all, or is it worthless, as many tribal visions are claiming it is? You see, this is what is getting many people thrown off the track of the love of all, thinking that those words of wisdom are somehow to be applied to our own unique individual circumstances. But if we aren't prospering in our own lives in various ways, why would we give advice to others? Well, let's talk about that. Prosperity in money is one thing. Prosperity in wisdom is quite another. I love who I am. So do you. This is my wisdom. I know how to do that work for you, is what her heart knows by heart. When it goes to the nature of accepting everyone for who they are, that's a completely different scenario that most are not able to understand, comprehend, or even remotely grasp within the vision of what it is to be of a soul level understanding that can do that work for you without you having to partake in it in each moment and breath. The understanding is there. The will to survive is often what drives us apart. My survival is of the fittest, is what some are saying. How many of us look at ourselves and say, I have to perform a circus act in order for others to see me for who I am? Right? These are those souls that are saying, they're trying to have me perform like a circus monkey so that I fit in with the mold of everyone is all loved and adored and cherished, right? If you get your soul session, that's what you get. But it's not always about the wisdom of you're loved and adored. If you're truly needing to hear that, that is what you would be told. But most are wanting to know, how can I flourish in the ways in which I'm being? And this is why it's beautiful, because we're free to be. We're free to flourish, because when we stabilize ourselves, society starts to stabilize. So what does that tell you about where we are in this country versus the globe? Many of us are concerned about those who are hoarding the wealth for various reasons. And while it may be justified in various ways, the determination of who is of wealth and who is not is often under fire. So we allow for ourselves to enjoy each moment, whether we are in the idea of I'm prosperous in my wisdom, versus my wealth generation has been temporarily been put on hold. This is what can set us back in our minds with the idea of I'm prospering in every moment of every breath. My love for myself is a boon to all of those who listen to me, correct? Or is it a natural progression of the idea of if you see me in that state, that is you as well? This is why many follow those who are prosperous in various ways. What tickets to paradise are you working on? That's where she goes, in most ways. I know how to handle those who are disruptive to my vision. I allow them to have their opinions of me. And I say, I understand. If I were you, I would be feeling the same way. I see the lenses and filters that you work your magic through, correct? How many are going to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I created miracles, versus I demeaned society so much that it came to me in the way in which I saw it? That's what a lot of us are working on, how to focus on where there is prosperity versus where there is severity. The severity of wisdom that many receive can be troubling. It's a gentle push into who you are, is where most go when they find out certain ideas of old are not exactly the reality of what they were. So we have to highlight those who are beautiful and say, they've always been that way, whether or not they are residing in the truth of the moment or not. They prosper in their wisdom as it is known, is where many need to understand themselves, versus the unknown, which is where Brenda usually resides with her soul, right? No, she's very much of I know what I know in certain ways. Okay, she's been brought up in a childhood of aplenty, is where some would go, not understanding the circumstances in which she rose out of, characteristics of abuse, let's just say. And others would not want to understand what that was or what it is. But that's the nature of pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. And others are being held to a different standard in their minds. I can't pull myself up by the bootstraps if I don't have any. This was discussed many moons ago from that place of understanding that we're fighting the good fight is where others are. So maybe they prosper in their ideas of influence to those who need to do that kind of influence, right? Or that kind of work. We're influencing others to stand up for themselves. That's what a lot of us do. Others are saying, we're fighting the fight because it's always going to be a fight until we realize it's not about fighting, it's about the victimization of others. So when we align with the nature of who we are, we can say, I don't need to fight in order to make a change. This is her soul. I am of wealth and generation for many. I allow you that same vision and wisdom. I don't judge you based on your income level, but others are doing that for many. And her vision is, this is the United States of America. We have a different perspective versus around the world. The global enterprise is there. Brenda was told that capitalism is being under the thumb of a few and rises to the vision of many. And yet, what is happening to her is about saying, my wealth is not as strong as what many would claim it is. Appearances can be deceiving. But my own soul said, your zenith moment in guidance is granted. Now, and I realize the screen is going a little bonkers. We have to understand that the nature of suggestions for our prosperity is there. Many people are wise enough to understand the nature of control of wealth resources is very different than the mindset of I'm prospering in my wisdom, my guidance, or the love of others. Now, we have very few people who will understand the nature of change without violence. Many are saying this is the perpetual war state we find ourselves in. So instead of focusing on that, knowing that we create the systems in which we vibrate in, we can say there can be adjustments to the global capitalist system that enhances it enough for many. But the all is about prosperity and survival for all. It is a unique vibration that many are working with. And what we want others to understand is we must create from places of worship of wealth generation and wealth degeneration. Many are utilizing words of victimhood to tell others, you do not deserve to be wealthy in your vision. It is wrong. It is evil. And yet we then tell others in this world who are fighting for survival that they are getting upset because they are now, quote, poor and desperate for a generational influence. The younger generations are coming in without the baggage that many of older generations are coming in with. We would call it wisdom. It's a different type of wisdom. It's a different type of being. It's a different type of way of being, to be honest, where we no longer focus on who someone else was, is, or always will be, versus the new uniting of us as prosperous as humans, correct? We're souls uniting on the soul plane. We align with those who want to have fun. Some of us prosper in our ideas of what fun is. It's a unique possibility for many to enjoy their lives. This is what she was told. Many of our souls are telling us to enjoy ourselves, because when we do that vision, we can create the wealth generation as an enjoyable process versus one filled with guilt and laden with attitude adjustments that need to be made. This is the nature of what she knows to be true. My attitude towards money is not the same. Am I feeling the itch to create a system that somehow demeans those who happen to have more money than me? And why? What were my choices like when I came upon this plane? Did I choose my wisdom carefully? Some people are beholden to the idea that we are unfairly judged based on our appearances, our methods of working, or the choices in our careers. Others are saying, I'm held back no matter what. No matter what I do, I cannot achieve. And that's where the spiritual alignment often goes haywire, right? Saying, what is it that's holding you back from achieving whatever your dream is? It's not the go-to soul for love always. Let's put it that. Because when you go so high in those visions, it's about understanding to enjoy the beauty of every moment, even when it is not pleasant. If you're looking for how to have a better experience in this life, that's a different kind of wisdom. Do you see? Depending on your point of view or your focus of late, you might start to get a better understanding of why we love soul level understanding and not just one soul's vision, which states we're all equal, correct? We are very much of various abilities, talents, gifts, and wisdom. Others are here to do different types of jobs, services, and wisdom making. Okay? So if you come in from this idea that I'm not supposed to be wealthy because my parents told me I wasn't supposed to, you're going to have to fight that ingrained belief system that says that you aren't supposed to be of wealth. But you might be prospering in the vision of learning my lessons of love of soul. This is where Brenda was. I love souls as us, creating on this plane. I'm here to do the wisdom that says that men and women are equal in our abilities, right? This is another war of the worlds. And you're going to have to bear with me with the camera adjustment. There's some funkiness. Who knows if it's my energy or what. But the labeling of us as less than is what is getting people fired up. Many are assuming they are less than. And many are assuming that they are not able to overcome those circumstances. What they haven't done is they haven't looked at themselves in the mirror and said, I deserve everything I get. That's one of the wisdoms that Brenda received. And you're just going to have to enjoy the audio because the video is messing up. I deserve every bit of love, wisdom, and guidance that I'm receiving in every moment. And what it means is I'm part of a creative coalition that is flourishing in its ability to create wisdom and soul values. When we go to the level of love, where we're about all, it means that there's a natural progression towards war. If you're still fighting for money, is what many would say. If you're still fighting for money, you're going to lose in the long run. Because it's not worth it, is what many would say, until they themselves are of lack of it. So you see, many who ride those rides of love are often feeling the disconnect between the wisdom and the ideas of what our family trees told us. I come from a family of wealth to certain people. To other people, we would be considered poor, my family. And then I married well, right? I chose a person that I loved and the career happened to flourish. But now my own wisdom is saying it's time for me to go out on my own, to do that work. I'm a man of many abilities, is what some would say. And so they flourish in the idea that they don't just have one zenith moment or one zenith idea. And this is where soul can grant you that idea of we're expanding our wisdom into many ways. We often want to feel like we're multidimensional, but in truth, as Brenda would state, you want to stay very much grounded in this plane for the most part, unless part of your experience is in journeying into the unknown and finding out more of who you are from another level of love. Whether or not it's perceived as such is up to the unique individuals who are utilizing various works of art to go explore into those other realms that are indeed more about who we are than what we are here, which is more of that idea where people say it's an illusion. It's no illusion when you're living it. Let's put it that way. What it is the nature of how do we create more prosperity for each and every one of us that allows us to understand that when we prosper, everyone prospers. It's what we're prospering in that people want to understand. So if you look at the world around you, are you seeing war at every corner? Then you understand the nature that we are not prospering in that vision of it. It can be looked at as such by many because they're looking at it as a business venture in those ideas of what we utilize to create war, our minds. I'm better than you, you're better than me, right? Or I'm gifted and you're not, right? We all have our own talents, gifts, and abilities on board always. It's about whether or not you flourish in them or find them is what many would say. I'm not sure what I'm here to do. Yes, you are. You're here to do just exactly what you're doing in this moment. However, if you are on the path of soul, you know how to open up to the nature of guidance from your soul that allows you to see your possibilities and probabilities, depending on how often you tap into the nature of who you are as a soul, with the understanding that my paths are open to me and my soul can guide me there. I have to listen. I have to pay attention. I have to open up to my heart, to the wisdom of those around me. I have to honor their souls. I have to listen carefully. For someone like me, who's on the path of glory, by the way, which means that if I want to give wisdom or guidance to all, I need to open up my heart to the all. And that's the vision. Brenda is, if I gave you what I had, that's exactly what I would do. I want for you what I would want for me. I would grant that if that's something that you want. What is it you desire? How many people don't realize they desire the wars that they see? It keeps certain people in business, correct? But do we demean them for it? No, it's a needed weapon, is what many would say. But how do we prosper in peace? Now that's another vision, correct? Brenda's all over that one because she loves peace. It feels good. I'm not in conflict with others, right? Or at least there's a basic understanding of kindness between us. It means we don't hold out each other's hands and then slap them back when they come at us, right? I set you free if that's what you need to be. Others on the screen are trying to call out to their family tree members about missing their mother. And that's the nature of granting that to that soul. Brenda heard that vision. She knows how to tap into the nature of it, but it's just granted. If you come and listen to her, she can give you your wisdom or the loved ones that you are indeed reaching out for. They may not be on the line in this instant, but they're there for you. Now, when you are working with soul, you get it handed to you. So this is why if you're on the path of soul, you really want to do an honest interpretation of each soul and say, I don't know very much about these people, but I can understand them based on the idea of if I was them, I would be them too, right? I would be doing that, thinking that as well. If I had their experiences, their life filters, their conditioning, their beauty, because it's all considered beautiful. I chose to come into a certain family for a specific reason. Many aren't on that wavelength. They feel like it's a random discovery of who they are. Versus when I know I've come into this family for a reason, doesn't that kind of open up the discovery process a little bit more? I'm proud of who I am. I have wisdom handed to me, right? She knows so many souls that are still in the I'm struggling to fight for equality. And they're doing so from a place of love of all, whether or not they realize it or not. It's the honoring of progress in various ways. We're coming into the art of community with each other. And yet we hold ourselves back from embracing everybody who happens to be in a difficult situation in each moment, right? Brenda's very much aware of how our lives often allude others to one thing, but we could be having our own struggles in various ways. Now, I'm not the person that Brenda would necessarily talk to on the screen, but this is that idea about if you're wanting a soul session, please feel free to reach out. If you want to have some guidance handed to you for free, I will be offering a free program at some point for a break in the wisdom, right? It's basically an understanding that I want to take several people through a program that is being developed in conjunction with my own soul from a place of love of all, but it's more about aligning people with their own soul and getting an experience of who they are and discovering more about themselves or their circumstances or the way in which they create. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to contact me at Brenda@BrendaGervais.com. Reach out in the private messages or just in the comments. So with that, I'm going to kind of wrap this up a little bit. I apologize for the disruption in the video. And I want to remind others something that my soul guided me to do, which is to stay curious, wise, and soulful. Have a wonderful day.